slowly but surely it's getting better. Still a bit of a mess, but we've got some room to work, and we've got some new stuff to put together today. Put out a post about it a couple days ago. Had some mail call stuff. We got a new axe we've been working on, and this very exciting box here. Back on the bench here at Bondegard. Very exciting box here. We've got a lot of projects coming up that I want to work on. Build some stuff out here and do some other cool things, but shit's so expensive nowadays, and it seems to me that a man that has property, a lot of trees, ought to have a way to turn those trees into something usable besides just firewood. All right, so we did a little shopping. Found the kit. I don't know if it's worth a damn or not, but we're gonna find out. So you can tell what it is from that picture there, but this box is a chainsaw mill. Just an Amazon one. It's about 140 bucks. But we got the mill, and in that same price, you get a 9-foot first slab rail section that looks very similar to the Grandberg one. So we are gonna put this together here on the workbench today and see what this looks like. I think it'll be good. It's gonna be a good time. But you guys come along and we'll see if you can, well, let's see, for less than 300 bucks, have a fully operational mill, including the chainsaw this time. I bet nobody's doing that yet. Let's take a look. So let's start with the rail section. See what it takes to put one of these together. Obviously this is Chinese made, right? For that kind of price. It says made in China all over it. But I think from what the reviews I read and how I saw this particular one, that it might actually be worth it. At least to get started and learn. Right? So let's see what we got here. Now the one warning that they did give about this thing is the directions suck. Bad. Right? So it just is what it is. But it does come with some tools. So it comes in the little toolkit with it. Maybe it's something that's worth keeping with it. A wrench, some hardware, another wrench, and an Allen key. So it takes 10 and 13, which I don't think are the same as a scritch. Alright, scritch required. I forgot it in my chainsaw chops. But the 13 is the same as the small side, but the 10 is different. So we'll probably need to keep these tools around as a toolkit for it. So we'll throw those in the chainsaw milk crate because we'll use real tools for putting it together today. And then we got connecting bars, angle bars, or angles, crossbars. These are going to be screws and connectors. You guys can't see over there, can you? No, you can. There we go. Alright, so, and then bars of extruded aluminum. So, unpack the rail kit, lay all the parts out, put the same parts together for selecting. So, once it's organized, first let's take a look, right? This is extruded aluminum tube. Decently heavy, decent thickness, doesn't feel, I can't twist it or anything. So it's not like super super junk, at least. That's a step in the right direction. These don't feel flimsy. Another one there. And I've got the stuff for T-slots in them, so. Like I said, the biggest complaint about this one when I looked at it was that the directions were difficult to follow. But no complaints about the quality of the product, and the vast majority of the comments or reviews or whatever you call them were about how good the thing was, right? So I think we might can make this work. And I got a trash can right off screen over here that I'm throwing all this in, so I'm trying to do as much of this on this camera as I can. We're going to go right over here. Lay out the parts. Directions. Hardware pack. That'll be important. Set that right there. We get short sections of extruded aluminum with threaded holes. That's going to be for the crossbars where they come across, and those threaded holes will hold the bolts at different widths so you can get it flat on the log. And there are 4 of those. Should all be identical. Yep. Now then, there's going to be some minor, like this is made in China, right? So there's going to be some burrs and some casting flash and minor stuff like that that we may have to clean up along the way. Let's set those with it. Several pieces of angle, like little brackets made out of aluminum. These are not aluminum. These feel like steel. And these are threaded connectors. It looks like for putting the sections of rail together to bind them. And then your dogs. Take a look at the welds on these. You can see they are welded before they're chromed. They could be better welds, but they are fully welded. They're just not super pretty, but they'll work. And it's metal, so that you can repair these or make new ones yourself if you need to. It's a pretty easy design. So let's lay these out. You get a full pack of hardware and the tools that we showed. So here are all the pieces that are a part of the rail system, a 9-foot rail system kit. So you've got your long extruded aluminum beams. You've got the threaded cross beams, connectors and brackets, the dogs, the hardware, and the tool kit. Okay, so we've laid everything out, and organized it, which is step 1. Those are going to be just off camera. So when I need to pick up pieces, I'll have to step off for just a second. I'll try to edit that down as I'm getting parts so that it seems like it's instantaneous for you guys. But step 2 here. Attach dog hinge plates, number 4, which are these brackets here, to crossbar number 2 with bolts and washers and nuts, which are 10, 11, and 12, which is, 10, 12, and 8. Read. But 10 is long bolts, 12 is small washers, 8 is small nut. So let's go grab all those parts, and they show you here in this picture how that goes. So it's 2 brackets bolted on to make the hinge for the dog. tube of grease here. So, draw that out. Screwdriver here, just small amount on each side. Get a little grease in there, and have a rag wiping down excess, because grease always makes a bit of a mess, just always does. Bolt back through. There we go. And the washer and the nut. There. Some grease in it. Oh yeah. All the difference in the world. Is you want them to move, but you don't want them to just fall out, right? So some grease up in there makes all the difference. And now, boom, just like it's supposed to. Nuts locked in. These are all locked in. So there's one. We figured it out. The first one always takes the longest. So save you guys a little bit of heartache. You got to see how to do one. I will do the other three. And we'll do it the Marine Corps way, remember? We give it the old knife hand and it'll just be assembled. Are you ready? Yeah! Boom. One knife hand later. All of them. And the one we did first, and you'll notice that every one of them moves like it's supposed to. They're still a little stiff, right? They wear in, but they all can be moved by hand. Just by assembling them like I showed you in that first one, a little bit at a time, working them back and forth with a little bit of grease. And remember, you're not going to be moving these things 9 bazillion times, right? You drive them in with the hammer, and they're there. So you do it once on each log. A little bit of grease. Wipe your screwdriver down so it's cleaned. Put the cap back on the grease here. Leave that on the bench, that'd be convenient to have. But that is that step. So, put the tools from that step away. Except for this one, I'm not putting it way back over there. And we go to step 4. Step 4 says, assemble carriage bolts, number 11. Which are, these carriage bolts have the squares under the head to hold themselves. Nuts and washers, 14 and 13, which are large nuts and washers. So that's going to be these big guys right here. Through crossbar number 2. Okay. Leave it loose. Head of the carriage bolt must show. Or must be as shown. I think the carriage bolts act as the rails. Just go ahead. I just realized what I did. These are all in here wrong. Yep, because the rail has to go over. These are in here upside down. Every one of them. So the rail has to be the very top thing. So the way I'm building it, this is the bottom. So these need to be in here like this. Right? Which means all these carriage bolts are backwards. Every one of them. And like I said, they said the directions weren't great. But if you pay attention to how things go, you may rebuild a couple, put hardware in differently a couple times, but it will go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide the carriage bolts in here. Right, that's the top. So this needs to go like this so that the spike of the dog goes down. And we can drop that over these carriage bolts. Like that. Put a washer and a nut because the rail will hold the carriage bolt from spinning. And these should be the 13s, which will be the same size as your scrunch bottom, right? So it says leave them loose, but you can, got that one a little too snug. And this one too. So they don't take much to tighten up. There we go. Slide it down our rails here. First setup here, we're going to need our scrunch and our square. Start laying this out. So locking dogs to hold it into the system, into the log. Nice straight rails for your first cut. And you see how it's all built right there. And that's what she looks like. You guys are still here? You made it all the way to the end? Well, if you made it all the way to the end, it means I must have done something right. So go down there to the bottom and hit the little like thingy. Right? If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe thing. Push the bell. Tell it to notify you when we put out some cool stuff. Right? Help us stick it to the government. Help us get this word out there. Help us show everybody what they need to be doing. Because if you made it all the way to the end of this, that means you think like me. If you think like me, that means you're getting ready like me. And we scare them. And don't be scared of that. Embrace it. Hit the shit at the bottom.